Steve and Alan's Pro Tips in a short time. Learn a lot.
Steve, when I was in college, my band director, Dr. Robert E. Lee from Wartburg College, would try to simplify things by saying, there's one rule in music, make it sound good. And I embrace that as a director. What do you think of that? One rule in music, make it sound good. Is it that simple?
I think it is. I think the rule is simple. I think executing the rule is a little bit tougher.
Go on.
Well, I think when many of us first learned how to be music teachers, we were in a college or university setting like you, and oftentimes our conductors were focused on the important things like phrasing, dynamics, tone quality, connecting with the audience, and so on. And those are, of course, important. But what I think gets lost in this setting is the fact that many of our college level ensemble teachers, they don't have to worry about basic technical accuracy because their groups are often filled with musicians who can, for the most part, take care of those issues on their own. So our model for how to teach doesn't really include extensive training on what to do if members of the group are singing or playing incorrect rhythms or pitches. So we head out into the real world and we hear Dr. Lee or our other college teachers in our head saying, it's not just about the notes. You must make music. And we set about focusing on making music. And I think this is, of course, a good goal, but it is often at the expense of taking care of important fundamentals. So in my couple of decades as a judge and clinician for both instrumental and choral ensembles, I've noticed that the good groups usually have 6 things in common. And spoiler alert, none of them have to do with dynamics or phrasing. Would you like to hear what those are?
So are we going to get like 6 pro tips in this one pro tip?
It's a pretty good deal for anyone listening. Yes, 6 pro tips in one.
Once again, Music Ed Insights and Dr. Steve Shanley providing maximum bang for the buck. Let's hear 'em.
So the good groups tend to prioritize things, and I can't emphasize this enough, in this order. First and foremost, correct attacks. It does not matter if the pitches are correct or in tune if they don't happen at the right time. If they start at the wrong time, they become wrong notes. Number 2, correct pitches, correct notes. The dynamics or phrasing don't matter if the notes are wrong. Number 3, everybody is thinking about creating the nicest tone they can possibly make. If singing too soft results in a less than ideal sound, then they shouldn't sing that soft. And the same for the louder dynamics. Number 4, no individual is sticking out of their section or the group. The grown-up term for this is blend. And in my experience, many judges and directors often hear bad blend, such as a few clarinets sticking out in the upper register, and they mistake it for poor intonation or poor tone quality. You can fix a lot of stuff simply by just making sure no individual is sticking out. Sometimes this involves asking others to sing or play louder, and other times it might be asking the offender to take it down a notch. Blend is one reason it can be easier to make a larger group sound good, and I think it's one of the biggest challenges we have with smaller ensembles. So that's 1 through 4. The next 2 are important, numbers 5 and 6, but again, they don't matter if 1 through 4 aren't taken care of. So, number 5, correct releases. This is going along with the rhythm idea in number 1, and this is especially for pitches that last longer than the duration of the beat. So if we're in 3/4 or 4/4, basically half notes or longer, making sure the releases are together. And then finally, the melody is not getting covered up. We can hear the melody easily. So there you go. And again, this is not Steve Shanley saying dynamics and phrasing aren't important. Instead, I'm saying there are no amount of dynamics or phrasing that will overcome errors in rhythm, pitch, tone, or blend. So what if you struggle with how to hear those basic pitch and rhythm errors when you're standing in front of a group of, say, 40 or 100 students? That is very common, totally understandable, and you'll have to tune in for another pro tip for suggestions on how to address that one.
All right, keep them coming back. So get those attacks right, get the notes right, think about your tone, make sure no one's sticking out. Once you got that going on, release together and don't cover up the melody.
There you go. Then you may start dealing with dynamics.
One rule in music, make it sound good. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Steve and Alan's pro tips in a short time. Learn a